Welcome to a busted play, an illegal use of hands to the face short.
Preseason week 2 has nearly concluded. We've got 2 games left, but I just kind of wanted to go over our thoughts on what we believe is like kind of bigger takeaways from around the league this week. Because I feel like in the games I watched, I have one like really big note that kind of stood out, and maybe just anything else that you want to talk about in terms of what we've seen so far in the week 2 of the preseason.
Uh, yeah, let's do it. Why don't you start us off?
Okay, well, I mean, first off, we should probably touch on our Bills beating the Bears and how whenever anybody goes through and does highlights for a game, nobody, especially for preseason, it's like we really just got to show the big plays. So, what plays have been getting shown for the Bills playing the Bears this week? Of course, we have Andy Dalton throwing like a 75-yard, 80-yard touchdown pass down 28 to nothing, which was basically meaningless. But even by the end of the game, it was still meaningless. And we have Justin Fields basically getting his head taken off, which also really didn't change much of the outcome of the game. The issue there was that the Bills kept just dinking and dunking their way down the field, scoring touchdowns, really absolutely dominating the Bears. And then Sports Center, NFL Network, whatever, they're just going to show the really key stuff, the really grab your attention type stuff. And then you see the final score in the bottom right-hand corner, Buffalo 41, Chicago 15. It's just really funny to see what things like national media groups will pull out of highlights, because this thing sort of that I'm discussing here is kind of more related to the overall topic of what I think is important to pull from this week of the preseason. Not always, but oftentimes, you really can get an idea of a team, or not even like the team, the players on it specifically, just coaching. I really want to harp on this a little bit here, that I feel like preseason, one of the good things you can take away, watching your first teamers and second teamers, not always the third teamers because they haven't even been around long enough to really get invested in a system, and or it will stay around long enough to be invested in that system. But if you can have an impressive game, if you can have New England go to Philadelphia on Thursday night and just absolutely dominate the Eagles through a whole game, get a shutout in the preseason, which, I mean, it's absolutely tremendous. There's a decent amount of times when you can have a shutout. When you have a shutout in the regular season, obviously, there's only your first team defense is doing it. When you have a shutout in the preseason, it's incredible because that means your first, second, third, potentially even fourth team guys all did their job well enough to, win themselves a game very handedly. And then it comes back to the other side of it. They also scored 35 points in absolute dominant fashion. The Ravens also continued their something like 5-year winning streak of not losing a preseason game, beating the Panthers 20-3. Sometimes there is something to be said for what you can gain from coaching while watching preseason games. Now, once again, not catching every game, but I also caught the Chiefs and Cardinals game. And once again, it just seems like we're coming back to kind of some things we've discussed before, with a lot of coaches looking better or worse. Belichick looks like a great coach. Cliff Kingsbury's still not really loving everything I'm seeing from his players. The Baltimore Ravens, John Harbaugh, looking like a solid coach again. And even Sean McDermott and his staff for Buffalo really looking like good coaches. And I'm saying that's probably a bigger takeaway from preseason than maybe a lot of people probably would just overlook that most of the time. So I think that is something that you could take away from it more often than people would usually.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what you see in like all these big blowout games in preseason. Because when it comes down to third and fourth stringers playing each other, it's not like there's a big talent disparity between the two. It's guys that are trying to do everything they can to make the roster. And it just comes down to game plan there, and that's what keeps these shutouts and blowouts going in the preseason. My really big takeaway that I have is every first round quarterback should start week one.
Yes.
The Niners game is happening right now, but I still stick to that. Even without seeing how Trey Lance is playing at the moment. every single one of them has looked great. And it is so weird to say that because there's usually one or two guys in a QB class that look terrible in preseason. And either they turn that around or they just stay terrible. But everyone that has had a negative opinion on one of these five quarterbacks or four quarterbacks, it they look stupid. Like I look stupid talking all the crap about Zach Wilson I did because he's looked so good. Uh, uh, and all of them have. It's so weird.
Yeah, I literally was going to talk about that next. I was going to say Zach Wilson looks really good. Not because I was crapping all over Zach Wilson before, but just because when we do like our our draft process rankings where we actually have to pick guys, we do have to order these guys. And it was like okay, I guess I'm gonna go whatever those first four, and then I threw Zach Wilson at 5 because there was still a lot of issues there. But I mean, there was a lot of talent there, and geez, you're right. Every single one of the rookie quarterbacks up to this point has looked like their talent is showing on the field, and it looks like it's enough that they all deserve to start week 1. Fields over Dalton, Zach Wilson over whoever you want to talk about on the Jets, Mac
There's
Jones
no
over.
competition for him. He
Mac-
was going to start anyway.
I
but
know. Mac Jones over Cam Newton, Trevor Lawrence over Gardner Minshew, and who is the last guy I am forgetting right now?
Trey Lance over Jimmy G.
Yes, Trey Lance over Jimmy G. Sorry, the guy you already mentioned. But absolutely, I agree with it all the way. I haven't seen anything from the other guys that would say, yeah, they're doing too much to say warrant it. Like, everybody's on an even playing field, it seems. Whoever they're coming in to replace, they're at least on an even playing field. And their future is obviously going to be better than whatever's in the future for Jimmy G, Cam Newton, any guy you want to talk about that's sitting next to them, Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
So why are we not going to put these guys in week 1? It's going to be ridiculous to see which coaches, because I'm guessing at least 2 of them will somehow decide to not play their rookies.
Matt Nagy's incompetent. He's not going to play Justin Fields until there's like the worst game possible to start Justin Fields in will be the one that Matt Nagy starts him in.
Absolutely. I could definitely see that. And I mean, he did not have a good week in terms of the coaching thing. Once again, like I said, you can learn a lot from coaching this week, and geez, it was not too special. But the one game that really sticks out against that, I will say that there's one game this week that really sticks out against that, and that's the Titans absolutely beating the crap out of the Buccaneers. Haven't checked out that one fully to see what happened there, but I can't say that I very heavily rank Mike Vrabel ahead of Bruce Arians like that much that I'm just like, oh, geez, they should win by 31 in a preseason game.
Yeah. Well, Mike Vrabel just got a COVID protocol today, so that might have been what it was, a little under the weather, maybe. Just not really. No, he won that game. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Jeez,
his
I don't even
coordinators
know
just
what was
showed up.
going on. He had everything against him, and he still won that.
His coordinators showed up. Yeah, he wasn't actually coaching. His coordinators showed up and just made his team ball out. So in other words, we should be realizing that these Titans coordinators are even better than the head coach. That's what really happened here.
Yeah, the Titans coordinator that lost to the Titans last week in the preseason. Yeah.
Or
Still
lost
got
to the
some work on
Falcons,
that
you mean?
narrative. Yeah. My other takeaway that I wanted to have, this is for the game for the Broncos against the Giants. Or Seahawks, sorry. Who's winning that QB battle at Denver right now? Because usually you can keep track of who has a lead and who doesn't there, but week 1, I mean, they seemed even just because Teddy is playing his conservative game and he's doing well at it, and Drew Lock was being ridiculous as he always is, but he was hitting on being ridiculous. This week it was a little bit more 50-50 with both of them. Like Teddy's conservative game didn't work out too well. Drew Lock had some ridiculous plays, but also had plays that did not pan out for him. Well, what do you think about it? Because I'm starting to lean more towards Drew Lock in this battle, and I was a Teddy guy at the start of the offseason.
Like I said, Vic Fangio. I feel like he's got final say. I'd still lean Teddy if they're even. Maybe Drew Lock could show something that changes that in the final preseason game. I don't know though. You're absolutely right. I don't know who's got the advantage now, even after 2 weeks. I think it actually does come down to this final third preseason game for them. Well, is it an even more interesting question that I talk about the coaching thing, and now the Broncos 2 weeks in a row have showed up to basically like manhandle their opponent?
Uh, it's it just shows that that team is finding the guy at quarterback away from being Super Bowl contenders like annually. That
Yeah.
it is such a well-run team, well-coached team. That defense is great. All the skill positions on offense are great. The offensive line is solid. Just need to figure out who's throwing the ball.
It's kind of ridiculous. I completely agree. I mean, we have no doubts about the defense, and to compound that on the defensive side of the ball, they have one of the best defensive coaches in the league. And then on the offensive side of the ball, they basically have as many weapons as you could possibly ever want on the offensive side of the ball. And then you're just, yep, once again staring at the quarterback position. So, absolutely, it's going to be interesting to see who they go with though, because it's just like I want to see that team with its potential maximized, and we're kind of just, because we don't believe in either of the guys, no matter who they pick, we've kind of just been writing them off the entire offseason, like waiting on it. If one of them can really show up for a career year, Teddy or Drew Lock, it'll be something, and that team will be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah. And the other quarterback battle we're still waiting on. The Saints play tomorrow, but when this recording, they would have played yesterday,
Uh,
right?
yes,
Today?
yes, yesterday
Yeah.
probably. Let's just say it was yesterday.
Okay. Uh, and that QB battle's still even right now as it is. Ian Book getting his neck in the race there too. So I'm excited to watch the Saints play. See Taysom get some snaps. I think he was announced as the starter a couple days ago. So he not for the season, just for that game. But he also started last week for them as well. So you kind of see who Sean Payton's leaning towards in that.
And Taysom back-to-back weeks. I didn't even realize that. This seems like it should have been bigger news. Why was I not hearing about this? Is Jameis week 3 then?
You have to guess. Maybe Jameis plays like the whole first quarter. Then
Well,
like the whole, yeah, I don't
well,
know.
I mean, what if he's not? If we get to week 3 and he says Taysom again, what are you going to be thinking? Because I've been calling for it
I'm
all off
thinking Ian
season.
Book. I'm thinking Ian Book. Nah, if Taysom's the starter,
If Taysom's
we've
the
said
starter.
we've said this all off season, and you're an advocate for Taysom to start. Jameis Winston has the ability to get the Saints to the playoffs. Or no, sorry, I have it flipped. Taysom has the ability to get them to the playoffs and win regular season games. Jameis has the ability to take them further from there. We don't see Taysom winning a playoff game or playoff games.
Yeah, I'll give him one. He could win one if they get a good
Yeah.
matchup. If they get a good matchup and they're in the Superdome, they could win one with Taysom. But
Mm,
yeah, you'd want Jameson for the playoffs. Like I said, I think they could win. They're probably going to win double-digit games with Taysom as the starting quarterback. With Jameis, they're going to win less games than that. But yep, like you said, the road to the Super Bowl once they get to the playoffs is much more doable if Jameis is playing once they in the playoffs.
mhm.
But the thing is whoever you go with during the regular season, you have to go with in the postseason, because you're not going to be able to switch it at that point. So this is, and I do think that even though I said I agreed with you and we've went with it all off season, I do think Taysom's the right decision, because then you give yourself a better position for the postseason at least.
Mhm. Just have to hope that Sean Payton does something different with that offense then, because you can't be running that Breeze offense with Taysom.
It won't be.
It's just
I
I'm still
guarantee
waiting
it.
to see something different. I was watching their game last week, and he didn't call anything too different. It looked like he was still running that Breeze offense, and that's why Jameis kind of looked better, even though him and Taysom both threw interceptions. But they're going up against a stellar defense in the Ravens. They'll have a chance to really dial it in, tune it back a little bit. Not as great of a squad in Jacksonville. See how that goes, but I think that's why you're seeing Ian Book really excel with these third and fourth stringers with this Breeze system, because Ian Book is very similar to Drew Brees. It's like, oh yeah, of course he's like torching it up because this is like built for him. And then you got two guys that are on the complete other ends of the spectrum, and Ian Book is perfectly in the middle
Let,
and running this middle offense.
Let me just tell you this now. Even tomorrow night, even though we haven't seen the game yet, tomorrow night when we watch this game, you will not see anything different from Taysom Hill. He doesn't want it to be shown in the preseason at all. But I feel like I can almost say with 90% certainty now, if he's going to give Taysom two in a row, he's going with Taysom to start in the regular season, and it's going to look like the way I said it's going to look. Even if it doesn't look like it now, I guarantee it will be run-heavy Taysom approach.
Just gonna have to wait and see then. I mean, they're gonna be exciting to watch. I felt myself falling asleep some Saints games last year watching Drew Brees just dink and dunk his way downfield. But if they have Taysom out there running some crazy offense, I'll be all there for it.
All right. You all set?
Yeah, I think we can cut this here.